Thank you so very much for joining me. I'm Anna from Craft Me a Card, and I love crafting for the crafter, and that is you. I have a beautiful card to share with you today, and this is using some dies from Globleland, along with my oh-so-loved pressed flowers. This Birdhouse die set is one I received from them, from Globleland, some months ago, and I shared other metal dies that I received from them for me to review. I'll put the link for you to view that video if you wish to. So anyways, I want to share this beautiful card that I created with this Birdhouse die. I have been eager to play with it, and finally I can share it with you. Now, they do come all together like this. So in order to separate them, you have to break the metal piece that links them. And you could do this just by twisting it, or you can use some wire cutters. I wanted to see how all these pieces work together, what cut goes with what. So I went to their website, and here you could see exactly how these pieces should be layered. And you'll find it on their website. I'll put a coupon code in the description box so you can apply it in case you place an order with them. You get a discount. So first, what I'm going to do is look for some pressed flowers to go around this cute birdhouse. I have different kinds of flowers placed in these containers, or these tin containers. And here I just empty one all onto my surface and try to look for some flowers that have a little bit of blue in them. And I find this hydrangea, which seems to be the perfect fit. So I go ahead and I start searching for more. And in searching for more, I find this weed that has little green leaves. And I think it would be perfect to go around the birdhouse for my flowers to rest on top. And really, this weed I found off of the sidewalk. Yes, the sidewalk. I saw the little leaves and I was like, oh, this would be perfect, for some of my cards. So this only shows that when you're pressing flowers, go ahead and press anything you can find. Some things will work, some won't, but you won't know until you try them. So here I go ahead and I search through all my little flowers looking for those hydrangeas. And then I remember, hey, I have an entire box dedicated to hydrangeas, different colors. So I grab the box, and sure enough, here I find other ones that will work for this birdhouse, for what I have in mind. I was also able to remember that I had some of these small green leaves, these weeds, so I go ahead and I reach for that little stash. I place everything in this black lid just to keep it organized, and I go ahead and I die cut my birdhouse out of this coffee-made wood look cardstock. I will also put a link for you to see how I made this wood look cardstock. And you can see here I have different shades of it. The more coffee you add, the darker shade you'll get. The less coffee, of course, the lighter shade. And I really do reach for this cardstock quite a bit. I really like the look of it. Okay, so now is the time to pick a cardstock where this birdhouse will be sitting on top of. And I turned to this paper pad, which is really cute. And I decided to pick this polka dot one. And I go ahead and I pick this light green. It's like a sage light green. It's a very beautiful color. One of my favorites, as you can see. So I pull this one out. So I go ahead and I trim this down about 1/2 inch smaller than my actual card base, because this piece will be sitting on top of another piece. And I also have to pick some cardstock to trim the trim that is going to be going around the birdhouse. And for this one, I choose this paper pad, which is now, it's a girl. Also by the same company, also bought at Joann's, and it just has beautiful prints. And I go ahead and I choose one that I think will fit the look that I'm trying to go for, which is a little lighter, sweeter colors. And I pick this flowered one, even though I know I'm not going to be able to see it much because flowers are going to be covering it. I still choose this beautiful pink flowered paper. And this one is like a fabric. It has like a fabric feel. It's really gorgeous. So I go ahead and I cut these pieces out of these cardstocks. I go ahead and I stick them on the birdhouse. Once my birdhouse is complete, I go ahead and I stick it in the middle of this light green polka dot paper. And I turn on my hot glue gun for it to be ready to stick on my pressed flowers. So the first pressed flowers that I bring on are the weeds, which have these little small green leaves. Adding some hot glue to the edge of the trim of the birdhouse, I go ahead and I add these pieces onto it. And I've said it before, my choice of glue for working with pressed flowers is the hot glue gun, because I feel that regular liquid glue, which I love and I use all the time, I feel that it kind of contaminates the flowers and they change color. So whatever color that you achieve by pressing them, it ruins it. It's happened to me in the past. I can't say that it's for every flower, but I don't want to risk it. Okay, so now just picking and choosing the flowers that are going to be going on top of this. I pick some that are small, and these are the small hydrangeas. So one by one, I add a dab of glue and then I add the flower right on top. I truly do enjoy creating these projects with these pressed flowers. They're just so beautiful and it just gives such a beautiful, natural, real look to your projects. I can't stress enough how much fun it is to work with pressed flowers. Okay, so now for the bottom part of the birdhouse, I go ahead and I find these little tiny white flowers. These are called lobularias. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but these are really found everywhere. You usually find them in a group, and I love how they press. They retain their white color nicely. I really like how they look here at the base of the birdhouse. So I go ahead and I add glue to it and I add these flowers. I complete the base by adding different flowers. Now these are also white and they come from a vine. I actually have some in my backyard. You can see them here. And this is called a potato vine, even though they do not produce potatoes. They are part of the perennial family. Also, these are great to press. I like how they retain their white color. I finished this up by adding a touch of yellow. I have no clue where I picked these yellow flowers up, but I really like the look of it. I think it gives it a nice touch. Okay, next I went ahead and I die cut the birds and just put these together. These are quite easy to put together once you follow the sample. Again, I went to the website to see how these birds are stacked. These also come part of the birdhouse die set, which I think is great. And it has this baby little bird face also. Anyways, before sticking these birds down, I decide to bring in my watercolors. And these were a Christmas gift from my wonderful niece, Alex. And I just go ahead and with a small paintbrush, I paint the whole using like a mustard yellow and some brown. I didn't want it to be too dark because I didn't want for the whole to pull your eye to the center of the card. So I just go ahead and I use something in between. I also paint the heart and other little cuts that the birdhouse has. Then I go ahead and I place the baby birdie that's peeking out of the birdhouse hole with silicone glue because I want him to have some dimension and I didn't want to fuss with some foam adhesive. He's so tiny. I go ahead and I stick the bigger bird, which I consider is the dad, on the birdhouse, and I just glue it on using some regular glue. The mommy bird, on the other hand, and I think it's the mommy bird because she's a little smaller, I stick this one using the hot glue gun because it is stuck on top of flowers. And I could have used liquid glue, but I felt that it would set quicker if I were to use the silicone glue. Next, I really wanted to add some shading around the birdhouse, and adding shading really helps for your project or your piece to stand out and have some dimension and make it look a little more natural and real, if you will. So I go ahead and I mix a little bit of black and white, also from this water set that my niece got me, and this is to make gray. So I go ahead and with the same paintbrush, I go ahead and I apply it all around the birdhouse. And this will help give the piece some depth. Now I go in search of the background where this birdhouse piece is going to be sitting on. And I turn again to the baby boy stack. And I picked this cute gingham design cardstock. It's a minty color. You will be able to see the real color of it a bit better in the pictures that I post at the end of this video. So I just go ahead and I cut a piece the size of my card base. To give it a finishing touch, I distress the edges of both pieces using some vintage photo distress ink and using an ink blender tool. And adding this distress ink around the edges also helps the card give it some dimension. It's just a nice touch. So just using some liquid glue, I go ahead and I stack these two pieces together. I know I want the ground of the birdhouse to be tree bark. Yes, tree bark. So I saw this tree bark peeling off of a tree trunk, and I went ahead and I peeled a piece, and now I can use it on my cards. It's very light. It has different layers. So I just peeled off a piece of it, and now I get to play with it. I'm sure you can encounter some tree bark anywhere you go. Okay, before I add this piece, I want to add some flowers to the bottom, as if the birdhouse is surrounded by flowers. So using a silicone glue, one by one, I add these flowers that actually are petalless. These flowers, when I pressed them, the petals fell off, but it left a different kind of stem that has, I guess it's the seeds of this flower on them. And so I just really like them, and I left them. I didn't throw them away. And so now I'm using it on this card. So one by one, again, I go ahead and I add these flowers to the bottom of the birdhouse. I cut the excess that goes over the edge of the card with some scissors. And now on top of these, I go ahead and I glue the tree bark. I add 2 layers of it just to give it some dimension. Again, with my scissors, I cut the excess bark. Of course, I cannot leave this card without corners. No. So I add corners in the same color as the birds so that the card could be balanced, that your eye goes all around the card versus it only going to one spot. So here are the corners. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I couldn't find a stamp in my stash with the size I wanted that would say something along the lines as hello or hi there, because I felt that this was a cute sentiment because of the little birdie. He's sticking out his head, and it's like mom and dad are saying hello there. So I go ahead and using these stamps that my honey got me for Valentine's Day, thank you, love, I could create my own sentiment, and I think that this is just fabulous. It's a great idea. So I go ahead and I create the sentiment hi there. I go ahead and I stamp it onto black cardstock, and I heat emboss it in white. I cut it out, trimming a fishtail on one of the ends just for a cuter look. And I'm sorry that I lost the footage of where I was doing this. I don't think I recorded it. Anyways, I decided to add some black Nouveau drops on the eyes of the birdies just to make them look a little more realistic, since these Nouveau drops dry dimensional. And with this, I decide that this card is finished. And I love how it came out. I really enjoy working with pressed flowers. I enjoy working with die cuts, and I just love working with different mediums, and I just enjoy card making in general. I hope that this inspires you. I hope you create and be happy. Thank you so very much for joining me. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit the notification bell. Like and comment. I love comments. I love to know your thoughts or suggestions, or simply say hi. Thank you so very much, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. A little bit of purple to it. Oh man, ripped it. Great. The ball fell off. Wonderful. I can do this. Oh my goodness. Thank you.